We now have two named storms in the Atlantic and another potential tropical development area in the Western Caribbean. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back at Meteo Mundo. Nice to see you on a Friday. I hope you are doing well. Coming up in this video, we'll talk about your weekend forecast, have the island by island rainfall forecast for you. The Atlantic tropical season, the hurricane season is getting more active here. We've got two named storms in the Atlantic. You might have even missed those with what was going on with Helene. And then we have another potential development area in the Western Caribbean to talk about as well. You know, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments section below what's been going on in your area. Obviously, if you have been impacted by Helene, our thoughts are with you. Kind of emotionally even tough to do this video, to be honest, right now, guys. I know so many people, personally, I know a lot of people who have been impacted significantly by Helene. This was an extremely bad storm. We could sit here and really do the post-mortem of this storm for the entire video, but I'll just note a couple of things that the Storm Surge Department of the National Hurricane Center has verified over a 15-foot storm surge in the Big Bend as Helene has moved in, and then the flooding that is ongoing inland that we talked about yesterday as well, especially in portions of Georgia and North Carolina, are historic and utterly devastating. You can search social media if you want to and see some of these pictures and videos. It's a bad situation through a lot of the southeast United States, coastal for Florida, and then inland as well. Do want to show you this viewer video. I do appreciate Ernie Perez sending this in. This is from Riverview, Florida. It's near the west coast there. This is a very common sight. Again, a lot of wind-driven rain. You can see the street lights there just showing you that. A lot of Florida had 50 to 60 mile an hour winds outside of where the core of Category 4 Helene went. So Ernie, I do appreciate you sending in that video. Let's get into our forecast across our area for us here. Hey, we had some pretty good rain in some spots on this Friday across the Caribbean. I know my friends at the ABC Islands got some heavier rain. Not everyone, of course. And we had a nice little surge of moisture coming through the eastern side of the Caribbean too. We're going to get into all of the tropical areas coming up in just a minute. But the first thing I do want to look at here is what's going to be your forecast for the weekend ahead. So let's do that. I'm just going to drop off that formation zone simply because it's so darn big. It would be a little bit hard to see the model otherwise. And we're going to take a look at what I expect as we go through the weekend. Now, again, we're still going to have some decent rain chances in a fair amount of our area. This is still not going to be extremely organized, but rain chances overall are going to be pretty good in most spots. Now, again, in the short term, we will not have any impacts of a tropical variety for the area. Down the road, we'll have to keep a close eye on things, especially again in the Western Caribbean. We'll talk more about the two named storms coming up when we get into the tropical outlook here. But for the weekend ahead, it's a pretty progressive pattern. And what I mean by that is fast moving showers and storms. We will start off right now in the Lesser Antilles, where again, we've had spotty heavy rain again for today. Some spots have had some good amounts of rain. Others have been absolutely dry, and the spotty, quick passing showers will continue for Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, up towards the Leeward Islands as well. Antigua, Barbuda could see a little bit higher chance for a few showers up here. I think Antigua, Barbuda have a slightly higher chance overall, kind of being on the northeast side of things, just a little bit higher moisture content coming in. And we'll get passing showers for our friends in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Once again, when it's not raining, you know it's been hot, and that's still the scenario I expect here. Again, we'll take a look at the island by island rainfall forecast coming up, but just to broad brush it, expect scattered showers for Roadtown, Tortola, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and some passing showers just like we had today in portions of Puerto Rico. Again, some areas had some good downpours, others have been relatively dry. We had some decent rain develop over portions of the Dominican Republic today. Notice that we're going to have at least a decent chance for showers over the weekend. Do expect to slightly dry out a little bit early next week, but for places like Santo Domingo, Punta Cana, and Puerto Plata, we're looking pretty good if you're needing some rain there. For my friends in Jamaica, scattered showers and storms, had some heavier rain again on the northwest side of the island on this late Friday afternoon, but still fairly isolated. Look, still can't rule out a couple of showers developing here even after the recording of this video late on Friday afternoon, early evening. But again, without there being a very large tropical wave or any big influence here, these are scattered showers over the weekend, slightly better moisture content. I believe late weekend, early next week will bring a little bit better chance for rain. And you can see that for Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, and over towards Negril, Montego Bay. Same situation for our friends in the Cayman Islands. We had a couple of showers try and crop up near Grand Cayman today. And I do expect there to be slightly better rain chances as well. Still fairly spotty, 30-40% chance at best. Cuba will continue to see a decent chance for some showers as well. And you can see at the end of the period here, the moisture content overall in the Western Caribbean just gets better. We still have that Central American gyre, which is playing a factor. And there is the possibility, and you can clearly see that here, beginning on Monday, of beginning to try and wrap up a system off the coastline of Panama and Costa Rica. And like I said, we'll get into that coming up. But in the short term, it just stays wet for especially the southern side of Central America, for Panama, for Costa Rica, for Nicaragua. Decent rain chances for Honduras as well. It's more scattered, but still good shots of rain for Guatemala, Belize, and on over towards Quintana Roo there in the Yucatan, where again, these areas have had some heavy rain, obviously lately with Helene. It's dried out a little bit here, but the rain chances will stay fairly good. Had some nice squalls associated with Helene through portions of the far northwest sides of the Bahamas, especially on over towards Walker's Key and Bimini and Grand Bahama. As you can see, over the next 3 days, we're in store for some relatively dry conditions. Isolated showers will develop, but we know what happens behind these departing tropical systems. You actually get some drier air to come into place. It's beautiful. The humidity drops a bit as well, but there's just not a lot of rain chances here, even as that south wind is kind of kicked in. So from Freeport all the way down to the central and southeast Bahamas, it's fairly spotty rain at best. My friends in the Turks and the Caicos, it's an isolated shower chance as well. Again, rain chances aren't going to be exceptionally high there. Now, the ABC Islands, we had some good rain in these areas today. Rain chances aren't that bad the next few days. Again, not all of the ABC Islands will get rain each and every day, but I am hopefully optimistic, if you will, that most areas will at least get 1 or 2 days of some showers here between now and Monday afternoon. We're in a decent rainfall pattern here. We have some nice moisture content coming off of the mainland, and you can see there's just a lot more moisture being sucked back into the Southwest Caribbean, with an area, again, that could wrap up tropically into early and mid next week. So for the Bahamas, again, low rain chances, many dry hours in locations. Boating forecast looks fairly good as well. Wind should begin to subside here beginning on Sunday. Turks and Caicos, isolated showers at best. Cuba's rain chances are relatively high, 50% chance tomorrow, 60 Sunday, Monday. Cayman Islands, again, isolated to scattered. That's what I'm going to call it. Up to a 40% chance on Monday. Same thing for Belize City and Cancun and Cozumel. Nothing extremely concentrated, but again, some heavier downpours are likely there. Jamaica's rain chances will improve a bit as well Sunday into Monday. And again, with the potential development or at least more moisture in the Western Caribbean, these areas that I just mentioned, rain chances should go higher throughout next week as well. The Dominican Republic, 40% chance over the weekend, then a 30 on Monday. Still fairly isolated, Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, but again, a few heavier downpours to try and cool things off. Bermuda could tap into a couple of showers, especially on Sunday. And Anguilla's rain chances are decent, 40% chance Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. St. Kitts and Nevis, about the same. Slightly higher a little bit east and then south. So I've got 50 for Antigua, Montserrat, Guadalupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines tomorrow, but it's still going to be choice locations with some of those heavier showers. Just the easterlies coming in, cropping things up. Also could see some swells developing on the western side of a few of the islands as well. Then it's mainly a 40% chance on Sunday and Monday. Might tail off a little bit quicker farther south for St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines on Monday. Barbados has still had areas of excessive rainfall the last few days. That spotty, heavier potential continues into Saturday, then begins to fade a bit on Sunday and Monday. Grenada's rain chances are decent. Same thing for Trinidad and Tobago. We had a few showers on the western side of Trinidad on this Friday. And again, more spotty showers coming up. Higher rain chances a little bit farther south in latitude, so Suriname and Guyana up to a 60% chance over the weekend. Nueva Esparta decent, and again, is about the highest rain chances I've been able to put for the ABC Islands in quite some time. I hope you get some of that very beneficial rain. Thank you, friends, for taking a quick moment to like the video. Really appreciate everyone tuning in to the live streams that we've done here at Meteo Mundo and on our sister station, Central Florida Weather Live. So thank you for that support. If you're not a subscriber, you want the latest daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you have found your home. We have a great weather community here at Meteo Mundo, so click that subscribe button now. And again, appreciate all the support in the various ways that you can find. Okay, so tropics time. Let's get into things. The first thing I want to talk about is the here and the now, because again, you might not even know that we have a hurricane in the North Atlantic. This is Isaac. It's gotten pretty strong. Winds have cranked up to 90 miles an hour. Isaac is forecast to stay a hurricane as it goes north, and north. This is going to be a fish storm, and obviously it'll be pulling into some cooler waters of the far North Atlantic, will become somewhat of a hybrid system here in about 3 or 4 days, and then eventually wash out. So these are the kinds of storms that we like, because it is a hurricane, would cause some impacts. Obviously, we're going to have some high seas that go along with Isaac. And oh, by the way, we now have Tropical Storm Joyce. This was the area in red that I had been monitoring the last couple of days. Joyce formed yesterday, has winds of 50 miles an hour. The good news about Joyce is that it's quickly moving to the north, and it's going to be a fish storm as well. Notice it is far away from the Lesser Antilles in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and that's exactly as we like it. So it should kind of get into the central Atlantic and then peter out after that. But very quickly, we've snapped off numbers 9 and 10 of the named storms of the Atlantic hurricane season. So obviously Helene, and then on the heels of that, Isaac and Joyce. So Kirk is the next name. The 11th named storm is at bat, and that could be one of these areas that we'll talk about now. We have another tropical wave coming off the West African coast. Right now, just a 20% chance of development, but more than likely that number will go higher over the weekend and into early next week. Does look like it's going to try and take the same track as Joyce, and I'll show you the GFS model coming up here. But again, we're going to try and gain latitude quick enough in the eastern Atlantic where we don't have to concern ourselves with this one as it moves across the main development region of the Atlantic and closer to the Lesser Antilles. This is a different story here. The Central American gyre is in play, and the opportunity to see a lot of moisture developing here and getting another disturbance sometime late or sometime next week at some point in the Western Caribbean. The earlier development would be here. The later development would be into the Northwest Caribbean and potentially even into the South Central Gulf of Mexico, just depending on how quickly this might want to try and get going. That being said, I want to be clear, right now it's only a 30% chance. That number is likely to go higher. Again, it's just kind of the first shot from the National Hurricane Center, but I'm going to show you here the GFS model, and you'll clearly start to see that there's a little bit of moisture trying to develop and wrap up and move north and west over time. We'll look at the ensemble members of both the GFS and the European as well. So to time frame this out here, again, as we go over the weekend into the 28th and 29th, nothing going on. On the 30th on Monday, we'll just start to see a little bit of a gathering here, and then just deeper into the week. Again, it's not very pronounced. It's not very big on the GFS model, but that will be the next system to be looking at here by about midweek. It should certainly bring more rain to the same areas that had rain from Helene, and that would be portions of Central America, the Yucatan, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cuba. And then ultimately what happens with this, we'll see. The models are trying to more aggressively develop this as it gets into the Gulf of Mexico towards the end of next week, meaning that it stays relatively weak in the Northwest Caribbean, but may ultimately get a little bit stronger as we go deeper into time. If I take this out just a little bit farther, just to show you that, and loop it up here, you can see that at the end of this, and it'll take just 1 second to fully loop here, you get a developing stronger system as a possibility somewhere in the Central Gulf. But it's way too early to be talking about what this ultimately could be and where it could ultimately be going, all right? But it is one that we're gonna have to monitor starting today through the week ahead. For the other area on the heels of Joyce, you can clearly see that this could end up being Kirk if the other one doesn't. Nice development here out of that, but it's even going on the GFS model slightly east of where Joyce is, once again, into the Central Atlantic, and not going to be a problem, cross our fingers, for anyone. So let's look at the GFS ensembles from this system. Again, starting off this weekend, the time frame is on the top right-hand side of your screen. Nothing over the weekend, but slowly Monday into Tuesday, we start to see some of the ensemble members develop an area of low pressure, especially by Wednesday. You start to see a couple now with potentially an area of low pressure there, but more ensemble members develop this in the Gulf of Mexico, and some of them make them stronger, again, Friday and into next weekend. The European model is actually slightly more aggressive than the GF is right now. Not with developing it quicker, but once it does develop, you can see there are more members of the European developing the system and making it even a little bit stronger in time compared to the GFS. We'll see how this plays out. Again, we're just starting to get this going. I don't expect there to be any rapid development out of this. Again, I think we'll look at things on Monday and we'll still just have a big area of potential rain, and then we'll see what happens Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday. But you can see that again, even on the European model, it's not until Wednesday that something really tries to crank up, and then we'll have to monitor that for the rest of the week. Obviously, it will come with more wind and waves, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, the Caribbean looks pretty good. Notice there is a bit of a northerly wind here. That's what I'm talking about, getting some swells to kick back into portions of the Lesser Antilles, even on the western side of the islands, but the north and the western sides. And again, what happens here? How does that all play out? That's the next situation to watch out for, friends. Let's talk about rainfall totals. Let me get off that little bit area here so it's just a little bit easier to see. Again, rainfall totals are going to be area dependent, but there could be a couple of spots with some decent rain. Even though we're not going to have anything concentrated over the Dominican Republic and Haiti, we have a couple of opportunities here to get some good downpours, and a few inches of rain is likely. I think anywhere from about 25 to 75 millimeters, that's 1 to 3 inches. It's the same situation across Jamaica. Let's get, some good rain. We had some heavier rain right at the end of Helene, so it's not like we've been exceptionally dry. But again, you get a few dry days and you're ready for a little bit more rain. I think that's what we'll see across Jamaica. Cuba's rain chances stay relatively high. Notice again over the next 5 days, not expecting a lot of rain over the Bahamas. Could see a little bit more concentration up towards Grand Bahama and the Walker's Key area, but not a lot. This would be right at the beginning of starting to see some of that heavier rain develop in the western Caribbean. You can see really down here, that's where most of the rain is going to be. ABC Islands, it's pretty darn good to see a couple of spots that could be over an inch. Again, spotty in nature, not extremely widespread, but let's try and get you 25 to 50 millimeters of rain if we can. And it's the same situation for the Lesser Antilles. There's just nothing there to really say, hey, look, man, we've got this huge swath of 2 to 3 inches of rain coming in, but the models can't handle the isolated heavier downpours, all right? They're only going to average things out. So it's not surprising to see extremely low totals there. And in a lot of spots, that's exactly what's going to happen. But there'll be some pockets of heavier rain. And then the central and the western side of Puerto Rico, decent. Nothing is extremely heavy over the next 5 days. It's just beyond this that we really start to see the opportunity for some more significant rain. As a matter of fact, I'm happy to do that. If I bring this out, let's say the full week, you'll start to see that moisture begins to move in. And then exactly what happens here in maybe the Southwest Gulf or the South Central Gulf. But down the road, rain should improve here for our western areas. Friends, I appreciate you guys following us across all of social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video like Ernie did and others throughout the course of Helene, please do so, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Of course, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. While you're there, I appreciate you again liking this video and subscribing. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'll see you soon. The latest forecast across our area, that's right here at Meteo Mundo.